Hello. Welcome back to another beginner session. So this is number 6 of 8 in this series. And really, it's just about opening up ourselves to understand that yoga really isn't that complicated, right? It's so much about just getting yourself to the mat every day. And that's my goal through this series, is to help demonstrate how simple it can really be. So last week I did a lot of talking, like through the whole thing. I realized that sometimes we want to move too, but that's the other side of it, is that yoga is a lot of philosophy. It's a lot of applying the knowledge you know into your everyday actions, into your everyday beingness, yeah? So it's not just going to the gym and doing a workout. It's not just doing a bunch of sun salutations. It's about the reflective elements that happen in this inward to outward process. Yeah, it's about us being able to recognize our, let's say, weak spots and our strong spots, and maybe our spots that are exalted or perhaps a little bit even accentuated or sometimes seen as too much, and then the spaces that are really, really deep, dark, vulnerable weaknesses still. We get to move through all of these internal physical, psycho-spiritual aspects through the yoga practice. That is why it's so wonderful, and it's so simple, because all that is, all those words, it's just my favorite definition of the word meditation: to become familiar with, to become acquainted with yourself, right? And that's what yoga is. Yoga is meditation. Yoga is being here and now, being aware of your breath moving in and out, being aware of your internal systems as they shift, and you being able to still stay relatively centered, so to speak. Yeah, we get to observe the things shift, but not be them, right? We are already of the system. We don't need to engage, let's say, in the drama. We can observe the triggers of an anxiety attack. We can observe the internal sensational shifts of an anxiety attack. It is whether we choose to engage in a way that's informed, in a way that is compassionate, or do we engage in a way that is violent and dramatic? Starting to observe. We don't need to be taken over. I'm just using anxiety as an example because it's like one of the most prevalent conditions in our culture today. And that's something to be looked at. You know, that's something to be seen within. There's so much pressure, perceived pressure, to be a certain thing. And yoga brings us to that space where we are able to simply be as we are, without having the judgment of the world around us. We may think that people are judging us, but here is then the beauty of doing an online practice. You're in your own space, and yet you're still connected to a community of people. We may never meet in person, but we're still connected. We're still able to share these moments and experiences because we're humans connecting. Allowing the judgments from the outside world to fall away, we come into this container of ourselves. We're able to contain the beingness of ourselves. We're able to contain and understand the flowing of our emotional shifts and apply with intelligent, conscious awareness out into the world around us. Sure, easier said than done when we're working through layers and layers and layers of generational trauma. Yeah. There's a lot of it for all of us. Nobody is separate from this. Every single person feels these ripple effects. We may not be conscious of them, but they're there. The pain of the past, of our ancestry, is there. Whatever your lineage may be, I assure you, there is pain somewhere down the line. There's likely abuse somewhere down the line. There are many mechanisms that move through the human experience, and yoga gives us the opportunity to come into ourselves. That may be yoga through physical practice, but that always includes meditation and breath as well. Because you can't move your body without breathing, and you certainly aren't going to be mindful if you're not conscious of your breathing and moving yourself into a meditative or flow-like state. You can tap in to these inner spaces of awareness through mantra, nada yoga. You can do this through devotional service. You can do this from all sorts of aspects. You can bring them all together. The point is to get into the space of your authentic beingness. And that is just to be. Not think about who you're supposed to be. Not think about who you are being. Not think about if it's right or wrong. Not think about if it's spiritual or not spiritual. Just be. Drop the attachment to the labels. The labels only separate. That's all they do. And here we come into another important element of yoga, and that is the ability to sit and be with yourself. We've already been seated here for a few minutes. And if you're a beginner student, this few minutes can feel really, really long and really uncomfortable. And that's okay, because it can be. And we don't want to be in the space where we are inflicting pain on ourselves, but we want to be in the space where we are noticing, oh, maybe I can try to sit taller. Maybe my spine isn't really straight. Notice. Maybe you're holding your breath. Now these little adjustments, they may get you only 1 more minute of seated time, but they'll get you a little bit more time before you need to fidget out. So start noticing your ability to cultivate your inner awareness and listen and apply. Try something without thinking, oh, do I need to check with someone else before I try moving my body differently? No, you don't. You can practice pelvic floor lifts. You can practice doing push-ups, Chaturanga Dandasana. You can practice meditation. You can practice breath. You're okay. These are simply practices for being human. So what do I really want to get to with all of this? You're going to notice mantra in yoga. You're going to hear words that are of Sanskrit roots. It might sound different to you because, well, it's a different language. Imagine that it sounds different. So my point is, please don't get so hooked up on associating or labeling something as woo-woo or hippy-dippy bullshit type stuff. If you notice yourself labeling things, or especially if they're in your own meditative experience, if you're like, that's just this, that's just that, and you're really discrediting the experience you're having, please note that will be your ego self creeping up. And that's basically the side of yourself that doesn't want you to grow and expand into the world, but wants you to stay in an old state of being. Being able to stay in a flow state, being able to even get into a flow state, requires that the logic side of your brain slows down. You can't think yourself into a flow state. You can't think yourself into a spiritual experience. You can't think yourself into meditation. But you will try to. Especially in the beginning, if you're a person that's constantly go, 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 you are going to hear the chaos that is between your soul and your mind in all the spaces in between until you learn to sit and be. Some days will be easier than others, and that is simply what life is. So keeping all of that in mind, let's move into some simple breathing. So we'll come into a Sukhasana, or an easy seated position. You may want to sit up on a bolster. I recommend, even if you happen to be quite flexible, I recommend to have blocks supporting your outer thighs so that you feel like your knees are a little bit lifted, but just in a relaxed way, and you can soften, and it's easy for you to just have a tall spine and let your arms rest on your knees or your hands, whatever feels easiest for you. So maybe just taking a moment to digest what I was just talking about. And notice what you notice about being here now. Now remember, we're not trying to push into pain, so be where you can. And the breath is just simply moving in and out of the nose. And then when you're ready, just gentle movement with the breath now. On an inhale, reach the hands forwards, undo through the legs, and just lean your upper body back. And then float your legs up and lift your chest up, point your toes. And then let the feet come down. Pull the chest forwards, bring the hands behind you, and then lift the legs up again. Point the toes up to the ceiling, lift your chest high, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Try not to collapse backwards, keep the chest pulling forward. Strong legs, I know it's a lot of work. And then slowly bring the soles of the feet down. Move your blocks aside and come into a tabletop pose. So that's on hands and knees. By all means, if your knees are really sensitive, you can always put a blanket underneath your knees. Every class you need, just do it. Remember, using props does not mean you suck at yoga. It means you know how to listen to your body, okay? You might not always need the prop, but please do not let the ego hold you back from using one, because the prop will always be a good idea. And we will find some other ways to use them today too. So we're in our tabletop pose. We'll move through easy cat-cow, and then we'll get into a little bit of a different spinal rotation today. So utilizing the breath with the movement, remember, so on the exhale, think about tucking your tailbone and pulling your pelvis in. Like your pubic bone comes to your sternum, and just look between your knees. Arch the upper back upwards. And then inhale, start to lift up through your tail. Pull your sternum forwards as your belly hammocks down to the ground, and we gaze forward and slightly up. And then exhale, go back the other way. Bring your tail in, your pubic bone to sternum. You look between the knees, arch up through the upper back. And inhaling, dipping the belly down in that cow pose. Your arms stay straight and strong the whole time. And again, follow your breath. And you may notice that you're a little bit wobbly, especially in the beginning. So really anchor down through the palms. Think of 4 corners of the palms. Claw your fingers into the mat like you were a little kitty cat with claws. Just grip them in. This will help your arms stay strong. And you'll get better movement through your spine, and you'll also be able to breathe better. Good. Next time you come all the way up in your cat pose, just pause, and then pull your ribs to the right, and then let your belly come down toward the ground in that cow pose, and then pull your ribs to the left, and then arch back up. So we're drawing like a big circle. Palms are still pressing down. Breathing in and breathing out. So once again, bring the upper back up on your exhale. And then we'll try going to the other side. So pull your ribs to the left. Notice my arms are still straight. And then the belly comes down. The ribs pull to the right. And then all the way up, back into your cat. And then go back to the right. And down. And left. And up. And back to the left. And down, and right, and up. Good. And then go to the right and do 3 full circles in this direction. Start to get your core muscles a little bit more involved. After the 3rd rotation, go the other way. So just switch it up. Again, don't think about it. Feel your way through. Once you're back up in that cat pose, come into a neutral spine and sit your bum onto your heels. Awesome. So grab a block and set it in front of you on the 3rd or the 2nd highest height setting, so right in the middle. If you are really sensitive in your chest, you could stack a blanket on top of this, but I'm going to demonstrate with just the block. Now it can take a moment to get into the support, but I assure you it's going to be magic for your upper back. So we come forward onto our hands and knees, and then just let your elbows or one elbow lower down. We want to get our chest lowering onto the block. So our whole chest plate just above the sternum. And you'll feel this support right into your upper back, even just getting it here. Now you could have a blanket under your forehead, or your forehead can just come flat down onto the ground. While you're getting used to it, you can have your palms down, but when you're ready, just gently reach your hands forwards. So this is a beautiful supported puppy stretch. If you can, you'll lift your palms off the mat and keep your fingertips pushing down. This will help you push your fingers in the ground as you feel strength coming in around your upper arms, hugging in your outer shoulders. So there's a sensation of your upper arm bones pulling into the shoulder sockets. So your arms are strong here. You feel the muscular energy from your arms supporting your shoulders and your spine. And then this allows the spine to get a little more length here. Maybe you can pull your belly in. You could even inch your knees backwards a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. We don't want our knees way back. We're still pretty well under the hips with the bum pulling back. And then when you're ready, just nice and easy. If you did crawl your knees back a little bit, make sure you come in. and then slowly start to inch your fingers in as your chest comes off the block, bum comes to the heels, we sit back up onto the shins. And this position on the shins can be really challenging. So a few options: you can use a blanket, and very simply, you can tuck it behind your knees. You can get the blanket right up behind your knees and sit back there. That can be really fabulous, especially if you've got some knee issues going on. And you could also stack a bolster in between the heels and the hips. And you can do both at the same time. You could have the blanket behind the knees and across the legs and have a bolster or two stacked on top. So let's actually do that, just so y'all get a feel for it. So grab your blanket and shove it right in behind your knees. And then let's stack one bolster or pillow. If you have two, go for two. And just chill out. So this can be really amazing for just improving posture and breath. Inhale, slowly open your arms out to the sides and reach up to the ceiling. Palms face into each other, reach the hands up. Interlace your fingers with your index finger pointing upwards. Squeeze your arms around your head, but feel your shoulders move downwards. Your belly draws inwards, your front ribs pull gently in and down. Kind of like you're knitting your abdominals together. And on an exhale, slowly release, circle your hands out to the sides and down. Palms on the thighs. Breathe in and out here through the nose. That's usually one of the most challenging elements, especially in beginning yoga practice, is to get the breath consistently moving in and out of the nose. Now there are breathing practices we will do, not necessarily today, but that you will see in classes that are not in and out of the nose, and that's okay. But generally speaking, throughout the day, we want to keep it in and out of the nose as much as possible. So just notice how your spine feels, and if you feel that it's a bit easier to breathe. And then just nice and slowly set the block aside if you're still had it in front. And then we'll come forward so we can remove the bolsters and remove the blanket. Let's sweep the feet back around front. So lots of preparation for sitting today. We'll revisit the boat pose, Navasana. So lift your chest up as your hands reach forward, knees are bent, feet are on the mat. And then float your feet up, and then try to reach through the toes. Breathe in and out. And then bend the knees, bring the feet down, keep the chest lifting up. I know it's a hard one. And then float the legs back up, Navasana, boat pose. This is really, really fabulous for the core though. Lower the feet down, bend the knees, hands on the shins, pull your chest forwards, and then just gently relax over your legs. So that one's really good for bringing so much strength into the whole core of the body. So your abdominals, your back, your legs, everything's so nice and strong there. And you can always do the other variation that we worked on with the hands behind, but you definitely want to work up to the point where you could be sitting with legs bent and your hands could be floating forwards, but you can even have your hands on the backs of the legs. Okay, so you could always stay here too, and you can practice lengthening your legs with the hands behind the thighs. So try that. Pull the chest up. Find the spaces where you wibble wobble, and then bend the knees and come back down with the feet. So what we want to be mindful of is we do roll slightly to the back of the sit bones, but we don't want to be way back on the sacral bone. We don't want to be just resting there like that, okay? So we do want to think about staying up on the sit bones so we can lengthen out the legs. So we have more of the coccyx involved rather than the sacral bone, okay? And then just slowly draw the legs down. And then we'll open out through the knees, bring the soles of the feet together. This is Baddha Konasana. You could be seated on a blanket. You could have, we're going to do it anyway. So grab your blocks and put them underneath your outer legs. Have some really nice support there. And then just gently let your hands come forwards and relax here. Whatever feels good for you. Remember, all of our poses are going to look different. We all have different bodies and life experiences and so on. So be where you are. Yoga does not care what your pose looks like. Okay? Our bodies are all slightly different. So just be kind and work towards your balance inside. And know that it's going to look different, and that's okay. It's supposed to. We're supposed to be different. Same species, different minds. Yeah? Different bodies, different lives. Breathe in and out here. Again, practice breathing in and out of your nose. Remember too, it might feel easier for you to stay connected with that nostril breathing if you touch your tongue toward the roof of your mouth, just gently, not pushing hard on your teeth or anything, just letting it connect, or by having the opposite, your tongue down into your jaw. Both of those can be really effective. Notice what starts to come up in the mind. The word asana translates into seat. So every pose we do comes back to the premise that we are simply doing the exercises so that we have the ability to sit in meditation for long periods of time. Let's just gently come all the way up. Close your legs together. Set the blocks aside. We've done a lot of work with the sitting today, so now we can lie down. So coming all the way down to your back. Inch your skull away from your shoulders as you just gently scoop your hands underneath your head. Your arms can relax wherever is comfortable, and then we'll gently bring the soles of the feet together again and let the knees open wide. So we've got a little bit more depth here. We don't have the support of the blocks, but if your hips need it, by all means, use the blocks. We're breathing in and breathing out. Notice the shift in your hips. Notice shifts in your breathing and your ability to be here now. It doesn't need to be complicated. Sometimes our bodies just need to slow down a little bit. Notice what starts to open up for you. Mindfully, start to draw your legs together and inch your feet as wide as your mat so your knees can fall into each other now. So now you'll feel some internal rotation of your femur bones into your hip sockets, whereas before we were working the external rotation in the hip sockets. And again, you may notice quote unquote imbalances. Be where you are and breathe. Notice if you start holding your breath. Okay, and now keep your feet where they are and slowly shift both knees over and down to the right. So internal rotation on the left side, external rotation on the right side. Think about your inner left knee moving down to the mat and toward the bottom right corner. Without too much effort, just think about that path of movement. And gently bring your knees up through center, and now let them drop over to the left. And think about the movement of the right knee coming slightly closer to the mat and toward the bottom left corner. Breathe in and out. And then slowly bring your knees back up to center. And then just some gentle twists and a little more length for the spine. Bring the right knee into your chest, Apanasana. This is great for digestion. This is wonderful for helping you breathe. It's great if you have indigestion too. You can lengthen your left leg down. And then you can move into a twist, left hand outside right knee pulls over and down to the left, right arm reaches out, or right hand toward the right hip if the right shoulder area is really tight. Breathe here. You may notice some tight spaces. And gently come back to center. Let your right foot come down, bend your left knee, foot's on the ground. Adjust your hips, make sure they're nice and neutral, and then we'll bring the left knee in. So do this side. So on the right side, we work the ascending colon. On the left side, we work the descending colon. Breathe in, breathe out. Right leg can lengthen all the way down. Breathe. And then move into a twist. Right hand to the outer left knee. Left knee pulls over and down to the right. Left arm can reach out, or hand can come toward the outer left hip. Breathe in and out of the nose. Notice the little tight spaces. And then slowly come all the way back to center. Bending both knees, neutral hips. Both knees come in, working the transverse colon, hands on the shins. Make sure your chin is gently tucked in. Breathe in and out. Gentle thigh pressure into the belly as you breathe. And then nice and slow, release your feet down to the mat, and one at a time, lengthen your legs all the way down. Relax your arms. Make sure your shoulder blades feel flat. We're in a nice corpse pose or shavasana here. Eyes are closed if that's comfortable for you. And again, the breath is very simply moving in and out of the nose. Each time you breathe in, follow your breath in and down to your belly. And each time you breathe out, follow it up from the belly, through the throat, out the mouth. And smooth the breath out as much as you can, whatever that means to you right now. Notice whatever thoughts move through, whatever feelings. And let them move through without needing to cling to them or attach. Just let them be what they are on their own terms. noticing where you're at on a deep internal level, and holding yourself with kindness and compassion for being exactly where you are. And bring a full breath in. When you're ready, reach the arms overhead. Enjoy a lovely stretch. And exhale, soften. Blink open your eyes, bringing yourself back to the room. Bend through one knee at a time and slowly just roll onto your right side. Use your right arm as a pillow. Enjoy another breath in and out, welcoming yourself back. And then pressing up. All the way into a seat. Crossing through the legs. You can have your palms on your knees or thighs or hands in front of your heart in prayer. Breathe all the way in. Bring some gratitude into yourself. And all the way out, sharing that gratitude with everyone else. And thank you for practicing. Namaste. And no, prayer pose is not a religious gesture. Namaste is not a religious gesture either. It's just simply honoring the balance of left and right hemispheres of the brain. Yeah, and the word namaste simply translates into I see you. Yeah, the light in me honors the light in you. I really like the simplicity of I see you. So I see you and thank you for being here. And I'll see you all again next time. Much love.